Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. I'm so not used to being on camera still. It's so much easier when you're ignored than when you put a camera in your face. Cheers, everybody. Welcome to the weekly ASMR Slurpy Coffee Time with me, your host. My name is Barry. I am a composer. I'm a composer now. And usually on Fridays, I come on and jump into Logic and mess around with sounds and composing ideas and production stuff. But today I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to get out of my comfort zone and I'm going to talk today, which I suppose I do every week. I talk, but I talk through compositional things. Today, I want to talk about some of the other side that I've noticed lately. So basically, I have been a working musician for more than 20 years. And my main focus over the last 15 years or so was a gigging musician. I was playing weddings, pubs, and all that kind of stuff. And that all wrapped up. We decided to wrap up our wedding band. And everybody in the band went their own way and is now trying out new things, including myself. So for me, it was an opportunity to kind of pick back up into more creative endeavors. Hopefully you can hear me now. If you can't hear me, just give me a comment. As I was saying, we wrapped up the wedding band and got into more creative endeavors, which for me was composing, specifically film composing and composing music for games, TV, and so much so that I did a master's. I went back to college, to Pulse College, which is based in Windmill Lane, a very famous studio in Dublin. And I spent a year learning all about the ins and outs of composing. And now I'm out in the big bad world as a composer, which is still an unusual title. I find it's kind of like the title of artist. It's hard to call yourself an artist, I find personally, because maybe it's an Irish thing where you just feel there's elements of notions. And if you are Irish, you'll know what notions mean. But yes, I now find myself in the world of being a composer. And initially I thought that the changeover from being a professional musician to trying to go out and get gigs as a composer would have a kind of an overlap. But I'm quickly learning that getting gigs as a professional musician is very different from getting gigs as a composer. And I suppose that's, maybe me being naive, because I should have realized that what a different industry it is. But also, what you're providing for somebody as a composer for hire is very different than what you're providing for somebody as a musician for hire, in a lot of different ways. And I'm finding out those things every day. So creatively, collaboratively, more so, it is such a collaborative business, in that you are facilitating the dream and the story and the project of somebody else. You're really serving somebody else's overall vision. That's being the filmmaker or the game designer or the TV producer. So that was something that was interesting, because usually your musical choices are your own. And so being flexible is one of the things that I'm learning about. The other thing is, how do you find work? How do you get a gig as a composer? And for this, really, who knows? It really is a nebulous void of unknown. And I think every composer that I have spoken to has had a different experience of how they have landed gigs, ended up with gigs, and they are so disparate in that some gigs come from your first cousin's brother-in-law who heard a song that you played in a pub and you got the gig. Another one is you met somebody, having coffee, and their sister is a producer. Or, which is what I'm trying to do at the moment, reaching out to people, reaching out to filmmakers, reaching out to projects you want to get involved in, reaching out to independent game developers, any of these people. And cold outreach, as anybody knows in any industry, is very thankless, particularly when you're trying to get across how interested you are in a project and how much you might be able to bring to it to somebody that doesn't know you at all. And what you're delivering is somewhat hard to quantify. I mean, you can say, I will deliver you X amounts of minutes of music, but what you're delivering with music is very hard to quantify. And the same can be said of art in general. And that's kind of a philosophical question, I suppose, that could be answered. Not this morning, but yeah. So that and I think as a composer, you're kind of naturally a more introverted person. So reaching out to people, especially through cold emails, to tell people how great you are and how good you could be for their project is hard. And another skill that you need to learn. But it is probably the most important thing. And something that I'm finding so far, to sum up kind of what I'm talking about, is that it's easier if you don't look at it as getting a gig, but look at it as meeting somebody. So there are obviously going to be some projects that you pitch for specifically, but in general, it's about networking with people. It's about meeting people. It's about listening to their vision of what their project that they want to get off the ground is. And it's about being kind of attuned to that in a way that you can offer support to that and support to their vision. And that is something that is new for me. It might be very easy for you. So if that is a skill for you as a composer, you make friends easily and you're good at work in a room. And that's where being a musician for a long time gives you an advantage. If you're used to getting up on a stage, reading a room and knowing what's going to go down well in general with the room, then you're kind of a little bit ahead, because you can understand where people are coming from, and you can understand the delivery of what people want to hear. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, so on a practical note, where do you go to meet the people that you want to work with and that are involved in projects? How do you find these people? So what I have been using is who are funding projects. So look at the big bodies in your country of who is supporting the filmmaking industry. So, for example, in Ireland, we have Screen Ireland. Screen Ireland have a dedicated fund for production of short films, TV, feature films, and they have a list of all the recipients of the fund per each quarter of the year. So it's a good place to start, and you can outreach to these people with a cold email. You can see what projects have been greenlit and funded, what production companies are making these projects, and see who's go onto your LinkedIn, see who's running these companies, go onto Instagram, see who's making these projects, see if they're filmmakers that have any other short films. What have they done before? What kind of influences that they have? Learn a little bit about these filmmakers and producers, so you can approach them in a way that is not creepy and stalkery, but in a way that's going, I've seen your work, I really like your work, I think I might be a really good fit. Check out some of my work. And that has had varying degrees of success. I mean, you get random emails from random people all the time, and your first email, you might strike it lucky, but you might have to send 400 emails before you get even a response. But I think another facet of being a musician is that you have a life of constant rejection. So a little bit more shouldn't hurt too much. I'm being facetious here, but I think that it's a natural part of the process, is that you're not going to get all the gigs. You're not even going to get like 2% of the gigs. But for example, if there are, the way we used to equate it when we were starting our wedding band was there are 21,000 weddings in Ireland every year. We only need to play 100 of those, and we have our whole year booked. Our model is working. So the same goes for you as a composer. How many projects can you realistically do in a year? Can you do a short film a week? If you can, that's really amazing for you. But you can get a feel for how long it takes to do a project, how many projects you need, and how many people you need to reach out to get an X amount of those projects in for your year. So how much money do you need to earn for a year? So once you boil it down to these things, you're suddenly not going, I have 100 gigs that I need to fill. You're going, well, I need to secure 5 short films this year, and I need to secure, or maybe I would need to secure like 1 big paying video games project. And once you drill down into what that means, is that like if you're looking for a big giant video game project that's going to take you a year, you narrow down that industry. What games are being made? Who's the head of audio on the games that are being made? Can you reach out to them? Can you provide them additional music? Can you come in and shadow them for a day? Hang out. Have you any connections that you can reach out to and say, look, I want to see how this works. So that's a good place to start. Another place to start, aside from the government funding bodies, are crowdfunding. So all the crowdfunding sites like Indiegogo, Seed and Spark, what's the other one called? I can't remember it now, but they all have independent filmmakers who are looking to make their projects, looking to fund their projects through crowdfunding. So reach out to them, find out who they are on Instagram, and then, say, hey, I'm really interested in your project. I'd love to hear more about it. Schedule a meeting, do a Zoom call, and excuse me, and reach out to them. The name of the game is reaching out to people. And it doesn't have to be super salesy that you need to reach out to people all day, every day. Set aside a half an hour or an hour. Really research the people that are appealing to you. It's very easy to go, I'm going to throw the net out to everybody that I want to get in touch with. Whether you might be a good fit for their project or not, it's very tempting to go, yeah, I can do that. Which brings me on to another point, which is have a look at who you are as a composer. And I'm not so much talking about what is your voice as a composer, which is something as an artist we all aspire to finding our own personal voice, but more so, what are the areas that you really excel in terms of what you do as a composer? Are you really good? Are you a really good orchestrator? Do you write horror really well? Are you really good at figuring out narrative drama? Are you good at making tension in a scene? Are you good at action cues? And usually what you like is what you'll be good at. So boils down to then do a little bit of self-research, sit down and watch, your 10 favorite films and make notes on what really stands out to you as the musical moments within those films that are like, yeah, that's exactly who I want to be as a composer. I want to be able to relay this emotion, or I want to be able to just do sci-fi, or I want to be able to do period drama, or whatever that might be for you. The more aware you are of what you like and what you're good at, the more you'll be able to find filmmakers who are making films within the style that you align to most. Now, that's not to say if anybody comes and offers you a gig that is totally out of your comfort zone, never say no. But if you have a good idea of where you're looking for, it helps you narrow down the types of filmmakers that you want to work with. And those filmmakers, you will find, will have similar tastes to you. And when you talk to them, you go, oh, I love that movie. I love that movie too. And then it gets you onto a further discussion. So something that I did recently was I was at a networking event for filmmakers. And one of the hardest things you can do at these networking events is people go, what kind of music do you make? And you have to rack your brain for your elevator pitch. If you don't know what your elevator pitch is, it's basically what kind of musician are you in the space of time it takes for somebody to get up a few floors in an elevator. So what's your 30-second boil down bio? This is what I'm all about in music. And I started off, it was one of these speed networking things where you spend 2 minutes with somebody and then you move on to somebody else. And I met filmmakers and writers and cinematographers and production designers and things like that. And I started off initially going, I like Oliver Arnold's glacial Icelandic, brittle violin sounds, and I want this kind of glacial atmospheric music. That's what I do. Which is, very bullshitty, but it got the conversation going. That was met with kind of blank stares of like, okay, you didn't really know what I was talking about. So the next person I met, I changed my tack and I was like, actually I love old 80s horror synth-based themes like John Carpenter. And the filmmaker was like, I love John Carpenter. I have a short film that's going for funding and I want a John Carpenter type score. So we've been working together and I put together a John Carpenter thing for him. But it was a complete change of tack. But it was another element of what I wanted to portray as as a composer. It was, this is another style that I really like, that I really want to explore, and that once I kind of said it to the person, it immediately resonated. And instead of seeing a project or a gig, you see the person and their vision and the project that they want to make and how you can contribute to that, which is the most important asset that you can have as a composer, is to be able to talk to the director or the producer and align with what they want for their project. Now, you might totally be in opposition in terms of what you think will fit, but it's that discussion, that kind of interaction, that is 90% of your job. The writing part, the music part and all, that's a given. That's like, you know, they know you're going to be able to do that, or you wouldn't be, first of all, you wouldn't be pitching anything. And second of all, you wouldn't have the job in the first place. So it really is, maybe 90% is a bit high, but it really is more of a percentage of being personable and being able to work with somebody, and less so about your individual musical talent, which I know it sounds derogatory, but it's similar in a way to being a professional musician. If you're a professional musician, a lot of the times, if you're the most amazing instrumentalist and you're an asshole, you won't get as many gigs, and it doesn't matter how amazing you are. The movie The Commitments was on the other night, and it's total case in point. You know, I know it's fictional, but it's the exact same thing. The lead singer, amazing singer, but total asshole. And it's pretty much what breaks up the band in the end. Not to discredit your musical ability, which I'm sure is amazing, but, you know, I digress. What was I talking about? Yes, reaching out to people. So we had Screen Ireland, Animation Ireland, crowdfunding sites. These are all good places to meet people. Then social media platforms like Discord, and even on Facebook groups. I got a job recently off a Facebook group for an independent game developer. So in the same way that there are hundreds and hundreds of independent filmmakers looking to get their short film made, there are also hundreds and hundreds of independent game developers who are looking to get music for their games. Now, this might not be the most lucrative path to pursue, but it's a good way of getting off the ground in terms of getting those interactions, seeing what those people are looking for, engaging with the producers of these mediums, and figuring out a way to interact with them. So here's a little example of how you might reach out to them. Let me check my idiot sheet here, of which there is many. Elevator pitch, blah, blah, blah. I have it here somewhere. Yes. Okay, so your introduction. So this is when you're reaching out, like cold emails, cold DMs. You've already kind of narrowed down who the filmmakers are you might like to work with. You've done a bit of research. You might have gone on YouTube, seen some of their short films or whatever they've made before. So that's a really good way of reaching out to somebody. If you have a little bit of personal knowledge about them, and not in a creepy way, not like I know where you live and I'm going to come around to your house and park outside until you give me a job. It is, introduce yourself, who you are, what you do. that you enjoyed a piece of work that they've worked on, or that you know somebody, maybe you know some of the same people, some sort of in like that. Or I've seen your Instagram and the post reminded me of this film that I really love. You know, I'm a composer and I'd love to reach out and have a talk. So, sorry, my phone is going there. How professional I am. Anyway, I'm talking mile a minute here. Introduction. Why you matter. I should say, actually, before I go on with this, I got this kind of structure from a composer called Cheska Navarro, who has a YouTube channel, and she is great at breaking down exactly this: how to get started in the industry, how to start reaching out to people, how to kind of position yourself as a composer, and really honest and engaging work. And she also got me my first paying gig, so big shout out to Cheska. So here it is, the introduction, why you matter to them. So this is contrary to what you might think would be the best thing to do. This is not like, I'm amazing, you should hire me as your composer. This is more so about how sensitive you are to what their vision of their project is. What can you help them to achieve by them bringing you on board? And more often than not, that will be you listening to them, hearing what it is that they're looking for, and trying to provide that. And sometimes you'll hit up against it and you think that one thing will work in another way. That is also your job as well. If they're trying to highlight something using the music that's already been stated in the script, for example, or you're already looking at it, you might need to remind them, it's like, well, that's not where the music's going to function best in this scene, or something like that. Or the tone of it might be different, or the theme of the scene might be different from what you're doing. So that's the approach I would suggest for why you would matter to them. Your credibility as a professional. What have you delivered before? Have you any testimonials? What's your credentials? And this is a really tricky one, because until you get a gig, how do you get a gig? And I go back to when we started the wedding band. That was our first question. How do you find a wedding? How do you find a couple who's going to get married that you want to play at their wedding? And the answer to that is multifaceted, but it's to give the credence to what you're going to do to be able to deliver. So I think speaking from the heart is a really good approach to this, in that talk about why you love what you do. And I think that comes across slightly more than I'm super professional, I will deliver you on time. All of these things, that should go without saying that you're super professional. But I think what sets you apart is when you talk about what you want to do with passion. I think passion and enthusiasm can also be a kind of a credential. It can be a type of currency. Because I think you have to be passionate about what it is you're doing, because it's so difficult to break into it. If you weren't passionate about it, you would just do another job. So, yeah. So alongside any really impressive professional credits that you have, also your enthusiasm and your honesty, I think, can go a long way to relating to somebody how credible you are to work on their project. Why they matter to you, which is a really important one. It's very easy to go, hire me, I'm amazing. Whatever your project is, I will make it amazing because I'm amazing. If I was hiring somebody, on the flip side, put yourself in the mindset of the person that is making the thing. So if it's somebody that has a script for a short film, how much time was it for them to get from the inception of what they wanted to do to the point where they're actually getting funded to do it? The amount of time and effort and enthusiasm and passion and tenacity that it takes to get anything made, especially in the film world, is really beyond difficult. So you need to go into your project understanding that from their point of view, that you have their back, you are a collaborator, you are there to help them. And if you can get that across to them, then you will be a trusted collaborator, a trusted person. It's when you come along and go, just buy my stuff because I'm amazing. Look at how amazing I am. Look at all my books and my look at all my leather-bound books and my amazingness. Next off is call to action. So I'm just going to recap there because I'm reading it. So we have introduction, who are you, and that you enjoyed the filmmaker's film, why you matter to them, is that you're like super amazing composer, your credibility, what have you done in the past that proves that you can do your job. Why they matter to you is because you understand how hard it is to get a project off the ground and that you really love the project that they're working on and you'd love to be a part of it. And then call to action, which is marketing speak. And I'm sure as a musician, you've come across the Uber marketing speak of, sales funnels and CTAs and SEO and all of the buzzwords. But a call to action doesn't necessarily have to be buy my shit. I think we're all we're all very Americanized now by like really aggressive marketing strategies. And I think as creatives, and I think in particular Irish creatives, it really rubs us up the wrong way when we feel like we're being sold to a lot. And you're sold to so much throughout your day anyway. The last thing you want when you want to be a creative collaborator is to come across like, I really want to work on your project, now buy my course. And I really want to work on your project now, sign up for my newsletter. And this can be really, really annoying. But the call to action at the end of your DM or your cold email is quick 15-minute Zoom, cup of coffee, reaching out to people in real life, a phone call. And this is really the crux of the situation. It is so easy to send out 500 cold emails and think that you're working and making connections. The only real way you're making connections is if you're actively engaged in a conversation with them. So whatever that looks like to you, if it's a filmmaker in your area, meet them for coffee. If it is somebody in a different country, have a quick Zoom call with them. Try and get somebody in real time reacting to what you're saying. And if you're desperate enough, start a YouTube live stream every week where you can come and just talk about all this stuff. This feels like therapy now. Anyway, if you would like to see any of this broken down in a much better way than me, check out Jessica Navarro's YouTube and sign up for her newsletter, or send me a comment or a message, and I will put together a like PDF kind of thing, maybe. Or I'm usually composing this stuff at the weekend, so this whole talky stuff is slightly new. Hello there. Who are we looking at? Aditya. Aditya? Hope I got that right. Okay, next on our agenda, and then I'm going to wrap this up because it's a little bit verbose, should I say? And yeah, I was going to talk a little bit more about finding a creative identity and overcoming the fear of networking, but I suppose I covered that a little bit. As always, if you have any questions or comments, or you think any of this is just totally silly, let me know. Good and bad is all welcome. And I'm trying to grow this YouTube channel. I currently have about 200 subscribers, which for me is really good. I like it. There's something about YouTube subscribers that is different from subscribers on other platforms, because it feels like it's so unbelievably hard to get subscribers on YouTube, and it's easier on other platforms. And that probably says more about what I'm doing here, and that I'm, not creating stuff that's worth looking at. But it's a good creative outlet for me, and I don't mind. So, yes, comment, like, share. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And tell me about yourself. Are you a composer? Are you a musician? I'd love to hear about it. The other thing is, I am considering, we had a podcast, and the podcast just went on pause for a while because I think that's just the nature of podcasts, because everybody has one and life got busy and things got paused. But we're thinking about starting it up again, and we are looking for themes. We're looking for ideas for what we're going to talk about. The podcast in general, I will read you the blurb of our podcast. So just so you know, is about creativity, artistic process, and flow, and what it means to be an artist in the modern digital age. So very all-encompassing. It's about creativity, it's about your process, it's about creation, it's about working as a creative in a time when technology is subsuming pretty much everything, and what that might mean for you as an artist in general. But yeah, we'd like to drill down. If you would like to be a guest on the podcast, if you're a creative of any type, if you're an artist, a poet, a filmmaker, a composer, we'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to get you involved in an episode. So you can come up and you can use a platform to, talk about your trials and tribulations as a composer or as an artist. I'd have to say, umbrella term, as a Renaissance person that you are. And yeah, so thank you for indulging me on this Friday. So sorry there was no actual music. I should put some music in the background. That would have been a good idea. I'm glad I thought of it now when I'm finishing. But good luck with finding work, and I will be back again next Friday with some more coffee and composing, possibly back to the more composing-y side. And also, in the meantime, I've been meaning to make some proper videos as well. But, life and stuff. So, I will see you on the next one. And, I think I've mentioned everything that I was supposed to. I'm supposed to have an idiot cheat that tells me all the stuff that I've forgotten to say. But, have a good Friday. Have a good weekend. See you in the next one.